Hi, this is Brian Meacham, Chair of the International Association for Fire Safety Science, IAFSS. I'd like to spend a little bit of time overviewing the governance changes that have been made and talking about the special general meeting that is going to be held on December 6th to wind up the old organization and effectively allow the transfer to the new organization that we've needed to set up. Now, I've talked about this a little bit in the past. We mentioned a year ago in the business meeting that we would be looking into governance issues and structure issues. And I wrote about this in the newsletter. But what I want to talk about today is why we have to change our organization and re-register with the UK Charity Commission for a new version of IAFSS, talk about the new governance documents that go along with that, including a new constitution, new rules and related policies, but just hitting on some of the major changes, and then overview the purpose of the special general meeting that has been called for December 6th, and to let you know how voting will work. As a bit of background, I think many of you will know that IAFSS is a registered charity in England. We were first registered in 1988, back when the organization was just starting out, and we passed rules of the association at that time and haven't done too much in terms of our structure since, with a few modifications to the rules over time. Since then, however, some things have changed, including in 2011, the UK Charities Act was revised, and a major part of that was to consolidate three prior acts, which had governed different types of charities and how they were structured, which resulted in a new set of legal structures for charities. Now, we hadn't looked at our legal structure for some time, and a review by the governance committee in consultation with legal counsel suggested that we needed to change our structure and that we needed to change to what is called a charitable incorporated organization, and we need to submit a new application to the Charity Commission in the UK. And the reason that we have to resubmit is that the Charity Commission in the UK does not allow just to change a structure. If you're changing the structure, you have to submit a new application and get a new registration. So this is a process that we had to go through. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. And so looking at the different structures on the Charity Commission website and talking to legal counsel, there are different formats for charities that can be just with trustees voting, where memberships and association style like we have that are voting, that do different types of work other than kind of the educational and knowledge transfer that we do. So when we looked at those different issues and how the structure of our association really operates, we understood that as currently registered, there are a few challenges to how we make financial transactions and also where the legal liabilities lie due to some, I guess, differences of viewpoints on how things work with the trustees who are not mentioned in our rules, and the managing committee and the executive committee, which are the only entities really discussed in our rules. And as currently structured, responsibilities are not in sync between those three kind of leadership groups of our association. And so we need to bring them into alignment, and importantly, by the UK Charity Commission, the trustees are the entities or the persons who are ultimately responsible for the association. And this is not really how our current rules were written. So to maintain as much as the current rules as practicable and to bring us into appropriate alignment with the new Charity Act and so forth, and to allow us the necessary financial transaction capability that we need to run the association, the CIO association model was determined to be the best fit. So can I read about the governance documents for the CIO? Absolutely. Our website that we launched in August has had the draft documents posted since August. And these are the documents that have been submitted to the Charity Commission along with our CIO application. And we also have had a forum where we can discuss questions and answers associated with not only these draft documents, but other areas of discussion people might want to have. You haven't seen any activity there yet, but I wanted to point these out, and I think we'll come to those in a few minutes. So what is the process going forward? The application for us to register IAFSS as a CIO was made on October 4th. So the documents were all developed, it's been vetted by the legal counsel, and the application has been made. The review time is somewhere on the order of 6 to 8 weeks. Once approved and we have a new registration, we will need to open bank accounts. However, before we can finalize all of this and move our assets into the new bank accounts, by our current rules, we need to hold a special general meeting to wind up the existing association. And this was announced in the newsletter at the end of August, giving appropriate notice about the meeting. So the purpose of the special general meeting on December 6th is really to hold this vote to wind up the association once it is approved by the Charity Commission and move over the assets once the bank accounts are in place. Now it'll take a little bit of time because once we have approval, then we can set up the bank accounts because we're not an organization with a registration until given by the Charity Commission. Therefore, we can't set up the new bank accounts. So hopefully that'll all play out in a matter of a few months. But to enable us to do this, we need a 2/3 vote of the members who attend the special general meeting in December. So this is why we're doing all of this. And I wanted to give that outline, but also then talk a little bit about, what the changes are that we have made. So there are 3 primary governance documents under the CIO: a new constitution, which replaces the rules, our new rules document, which is more flexible, that has things that aren't required to be in the Constitution, but which we think are important for governance, and in terms of reference, which describe how the different committees should work. And so if you haven't been yet, you might check out the IAFSS website and you'll see the draft governance documents are there: the Constitution, draft rules, and terms of reference. And if you want to have a look, you can easily just click on them and go through all the different changes. What you'll notice right away is we've gone from a couple of pages to 23 pages just in the Constitution, but that's a function of what's required for meeting the Charity Commission requirements. And if you just go to the IAFSS website straight away, you can find this by looking at About IAFSS, going down to draft governance documents, and that will take you there as well. So the Constitution, as I said, replaces the current rules as the official governing document for compliance with the Charity Commission under this new CIO structure. So this has all the legal requirements to comply with the changes to the Charities Act 2011, to come into compliance with appropriate policies and procedures that we have, and so forth. We have a new set of rules which has some non-required but critical information, such as what the officers of the association will be, elections, what our committees are, and things such as that. So we need these to operate, but they're not required to be inside of the Constitution. We also put together a terms of reference, which outlines the roles and responsibilities for all leaders of the association, including the management structure, but also the working groups and committee members. And this talks about not only the roles and responsibilities, but expected code of conduct and so forth. In addition, we've produced a significant number of policies and procedures that go along with our change to a CIO, but are also just good practice to have for an organization like IAFSS. There's a privacy policy, a financial policy, member code of conduct, trustee code of conduct, safeguarding and protecting people, conflict of interest form, feedback and complaints procedure, and so forth. We also have our strategic plan that was last updated in 2018, social media guidelines last updated in 2017, and sponsorship of conferences, which hasn't been updated since 2015. But you'll notice that most of these are recently updated and improved at the end of June by the managing committee. And again, if you go to the website and look under governance documents, so about governance documents, and here you'll see our current rules, but then also all of these policies and procedures. So these are really necessary to outline how we operate as an association, and these have all been included in our application package to the Charity Commission. Since we needed to submit a new application and get a new registration, and the CIO Association model constitution required some modifications to our governance structure, the managing committee decided to make some additional modifications to try to involve more members and to kind of clarify between operations management and management of membership activities such as working groups, symposium planning committee, and other activities of the membership. So what we did was first we streamlined the operational management structure from this combination of the managing committee, executive committee, and trustees to only the trustees, which is the legal requirement in the UK under the CIO structure. And what we decided is to have 9 elected members of the trustees, 3 from each region, and 1 ex officio trustee who will be the immediate past chair. And so we're building into this balance between the region and the opportunity to elect the leadership who will have the responsibility, the fiduciary responsibility for the organization as the trustees. Because we have so many different membership opportunities in our committees, whether it's early career education, research, symposium planning, and others, we set up a new membership advisory council, which will have 18 elected members to oversee all of these activities. And here again, it will be 6 members elected from each of the 3 regions. And in total, what this does is actually increase the number of leaders we have from 24 to 27, and we added to that regional balance requirements. We also added term limits to try to facilitate members moving through. So, this is not a retirement committee, but is really more of a leadership opportunity, and we wanted to make sure that we facilitated opportunities for people to come in. And we also took the opportunity, as I mentioned before, to establish more policies and procedures that we should have for an organization of our type. In terms of service to the IAFSS going forward, you can either, if you're interested, in the leadership, be a trustee, one of the 9, or be on the membership advisory council, but not both. And membership on both is by nomination and election by the membership, similar to what we have now. So if you're interested in serving, you must choose one or the other, either a member of the EC, which will be nominally the Board of Trustees going forward, or the Membership Advisory Committee, which will oversee the membership activities. And it's not permitted to run for both groups in the same election because it's a choice between basically operational management and membership activities. And as I mentioned before, there'll be 9 trustees, 3 from each region for the uh, executive committee / board of trustees, with the chair rotating amongst regions, similar to what we have now. And the past chair will serve as an ex officio member of the board of trustees. And the MAC will have 18 members, 6 from each region, and the MAC will elect its own chair. So the trustees will work and the MAC will work basically the way it does now. You're electing people, and those elected people will choose amongst themselves for the officers and the leadership of the committees. As I mentioned also, we imposed term limits to try to facilitate movement and allow more, particularly mid-career members, to serve and not just have the same people all the time. So a charity trustee may not serve more than 3 elected 3-year terms in total. I'm coming up at the end of 9 years of service. I won't be running again, for example, so I have served one term as chair, and I'll move on to immediate past chair. And the idea is this kind of 9-year time limit will allow time enough to get in and be comfortable and manage the organization, but not necessarily stay so long that other people aren't given chances. And the same term limits are imposed on the members of the MAC. Now, service on the Membership Advisory Committee Council is independent of service as a charity trustee, so one could serve longer, but really the idea is, making a choice between operational management and membership activities, providing service to the association and facilitating more people to come in and into leadership more quickly. So in order to actually take the final steps and implement the new CIO structure, we need to close down the current association and transfer the assets into the new association. And by our current rules, Article 17, this has to be done through a special general meeting convened for that purpose with 3 months prior notice, and has to get the approval of 2/3 majority of those present. So the announcement of the meeting was made in the newsletter at the end of August to give us the 3 months notice. All the documents were put up on the website and have been available there for review during the period. The special general meeting, again, is scheduled for December 6th. And, I had mentioned the notice was made in advance. One thing to point out that you must be a currently active, meaning paid member to vote. So if you haven't paid up for 2022, or you're not in a 3-year payment cycle or a lifetime member and you want to participate in the meeting and vote, you have to pay up before then. And this is the sole purpose of the meeting. It's required by our rules. And so it's important that you understand it's not a general business meeting. We're not addressing other issues. It's all for the purpose of giving approval to wind up the current organization and transfer into the new CIO structure. So we're going to hold the meeting by Zoom. You might recall that, we did this in the past in 2021 for the annual business meeting, and we changed the rules at the time to allow this. So a link for the Zoom meeting will be sent to all active members on or about the 29th of November. We understand, and I think all of us know that there's no single time that works well for all of us around the world in all the different time zones. So we had to pick a time that kind of works for the maximum number of our members and with the least amount of impact. And we determined that to be 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock CET, and 1900 China Standard Time. Voting in the meeting will be via Zoom, but we understand not everybody will be able to make it. So we're also going to provide an electronic ballot for you to cast your vote of approve or not approve. And a link to the ballot will be sent in an email on November 29th as well. And again, the vote in the meeting and in the ballot will be to approve or disapprove the resolution to wind up the current organization and transfer the assets to the new organization once we have the final approval from the Charity Commission and the new bank accounts in place. So in summary, we have to change the form of the association to comply with the requirements of the Charity Act 2011 and the Charity Commission governance documents for the new types of charity structures that were put into place with the change to the Charity Acts in 2011. The draft governance documents are posted on the website, and they have been there, as well as the governance policies and procedures that we've implemented back at the end of June, all as part of moving forward and updating how we operate the association. And all of these have been approved by the managing committee and vetted by legal counsel. The SGM will be held on December 6th to vote to dissolve our current association and transfer assets to the new CIO when we have Charity Commission approval and the bank accounts are in place. And you can find all of this again at our website, and you have opportunities there to also join our forum for questions and answers. And I had mentioned this earlier in the recording here, but one more thing to point out on our website, if you haven't seen it, is that we established a member forum for the first time, which is a way to get our members to interact online through the website to engage in questions about fire safety science or topics of interest that you want to connect with people in different parts of the world that you may want to have a different mechanism for that. So you go to the website to the Join the Forum page, you click on Join Now, and you'll have to enter your membership number and be logged in as a member. And once that happens, you'll get to the member forum page. And what you'll see here is some of the same information. I posted a welcome to the IAFSS website 3 months and 3 weeks ago. So far, I'm the only one who's posted on the one topic. But what you would do is click on that particular topic, and you'll see that there's a thread in here, revised governance document. You'll also get the opportunity to create a new topic if you want. But since we're talking about the governance documents, what you would do is click on that, and then that would bring you to the post where I provide a little bit of this same information that I had talked about today, links again to the documents, and gives you an opportunity to post any questions or comments in the forum, and then you would submit. And the idea to use the forum is that all of our active members would be able to see the questions and see any responses that you might have. And so That's it. I just wanted to take the opportunity to kind of go through the changes that we have been flagging for the last 9 months or so, and overview a little bit the revised documents that we posted back in August, and tell you a little bit more about the special general meeting for December and why we're having it. If you have questions, I look forward to seeing them in our online forum, and I look forward to seeing you in the special general meeting on December 6th, so that we can vote on moving forward with the association. Thank you very much.